Okay. Okay, I got a bunch of shit here. And a few plans that I want to talk about. Okay. Okay. Um, this looks like a pretty big sword. And the difference between a really big sword to a big sword is not that much. Like, it's really not that big of a difference. This was just kind of ridiculous. It's not, it's not like it's a Montente or anything, but it's pretty freaking huge. And I'm really kind of glad how it worked out, but it's got some problems. For one, of course, when I was heat treating it the last time, at least the last time, maybe one before that, because I heat treated this maybe like 5 times until I got it straight. It got like a saber on one side, because when you take it out of the forge, you don't want to take it out this way. You want to put it on the edge, or like this, put it on the edge, and then you take it out so that it doesn't get a warp this way, right? But it didn't. Of course, the problem with that is that if you overheat it, then you can get like a saber kind of look. And that was not what I wanted, of course. I mean, I would have loved to have this sword that was straight, but it just didn't work out. But anyhow, it's still pretty cool, and it actually feels good. Like, it doesn't feel wobbly anymore, because I took a lot of mass off of it. Pommel is just about right, like maybe 4 inches maybe. Like before, I think it was like up to here, so I think that is a big improvement. But anyhow, I could swing this thing around for probably 20 or 30 minutes before I get really tired, and I just think that it feels good. It's really hard to tell people what a sword feels like. Like, you can say it feels chunky or it feels heavy in the tip, but I saw this on Cult of Athena for $100, and I wanted this sword for a long while because it doesn't seem like it's very heavy, or it doesn't feel very expensive. It looks good, like it's just kind of a cool thing to look around, to look, like a dress sword or something. And I just wanted it. So this one's a munition grade, so that it has something wrong with it, but so it's not like full price. But you can, I don't even know if you can tell on the GoPro, but the tip is bent by just a few degrees, maybe back here. So if you just reheat treated it, then it would be a lot better. But this one, it feels heavier. It is slower. I mean, I'm sure they would give you a good cut if you sharpened it, but it's not sharpened. But it's funny that this sword was one that I wanted for a long time, and then it just turns out that it's like, it just feels kind of slow. And the shitty, ugly looking one that I made is longer, and it's faster. And maybe about the same weight, or this might be heavier, because I was looking at the distal taper, and the distal taper on this is not, mine is much more aggressive in the taper, and I think that's really what does it. But I was thinking, if I really wanted to, I could reheat treat this, and then I could increase the distal taper a little bit better. So let's see. It does bend in the correct spot, and I'm no expert, but anyhow, it was just kind of disappointing that swords that look so cool and it's just kind of chonky and doesn't feel right. Even though it has a good point of balance, but it just feels kind of slow. But I don't know, maybe I'll sell that to somebody else. You'll just never know until you feel it, you know, even if it looks good. So I've got some more 5160, and it's a big project to make a sword. It takes a long time, a lot of trial and errors, and yeah, so I'm gonna make one that's just a little bit shorter. Yeah. But anyhow, I wanted to do this next one a little bit different. It's gonna be, if I can, diamond cross section. Maybe a fuller that's towards the hilt if I need to. And you can't see it, but right here is my sword forge, and I might redo it, but vertical, because both of these, and I know that the GoPro has a wide angle lens, so it kind of fucks up the geometry of the stuff in frame, but this one has the same problem, whereas it actually has kind of like a saber. This one's not nearly as bad because it actually is worse, but it's shorter, so you can't tell nearly as much. And this one was really just practice, of course. I mean, all of them are practice until I get one that's perfect. But, whew, I'm gonna make one that's probably about this long, and the difference between 6 inches, 7 inches dealing with this stuff is huge. Like, this one is just mystery steel, and it's probably mild steel because it does bend, but even a mild steel sword like this will hold up pretty well for chopping and thrusting and everything that I've tried, which is not a lot, but yeah, it'll hold up just about fine with this super crappy steel and bad heat treatment. I don't know what I'm getting at. That's why this would look a lot better if I made the handle just a little bit thinner. But I have done a lot of work on this, and just because the blade is bent, and I don't want to be hammering on it because it's pretty much done, you know, it would do a lot. It would set me back a lot and would probably damage the blade quite a bit, and it would not be guaranteed that I wouldn't do this again with my setup. So it is good, it works, I'm happy with it, and it's just like, it's not super fucked up. I would say that this is a real sword for sure. Chop somebody's fucking head off. It's just like a lot of things to think about. I don't know what I'm saying. I guess I was just trying to get my thoughts together. Yeah, so I'm kind of using this one as a more like a guide for the new one. If it just had a better distal paper, I think this would look a lot better. It would work a lot better. It wouldn't feel so slow and heavy. And I mean, of course it's a long sword, but a long sword should still be quick. Especially because you got 2 hands on it. It shouldn't be heavy like that. More like a dress dress sword, but nobody really said about that online. They never said anything about it being kind of chonky or anything, so you just never know until you grab it, I guess. I'm kind of tempted to modify this one. That would be kind of cool. It's pretty, it's not perfect, you know. It's handmade in a lot of ways, you can tell. A lot of things are pretty rough, but it's good. It's a fine sword. Just kind of slow. Ugh. Anyhow, I guess I'm just going to start on the next one. I'm going to go to a SCA meeting tomorrow where they use rattan sticks and they make armor out of like hockey gear, and I'm just going to see if anybody's interested in practicing HEMA, because as far as I can tell there's no fencing club in Great Falls at all, and there's no HEMA at all. There's just SCA, which is like, I'll go tomorrow and see what I think, but it's kind of disappointing. Oh, it bends right in the middle, actually. That's funny that this one bends in the middle. That one bends in the right spot, but this one doesn't feel nearly as heavy as that one, and this one's longer and wider. Kind of weird. I don't know if I'm really ready to make another one. These ones take a lot of work, so I want to make my sword, and this one doesn't feel like my sword. This one feels like practice. It doesn't feel like my sword. You know, I want to have my sword, the one that I am happy of and proud of. And this one's kind of proud of it, but just not enough. It's not quite what I was looking for. Alright. It was close. But not perfect. I guess I can kind of work on it a little bit, like just one step at a time. I can cut it out. I can normalize the steel. That's easy. And just make the profile, you know. And then after I get this maybe normalized quite a bit and everything's kind of straight, then I could remake the forge and kind of see how things go. Kind of tired of this shit. There's nobody out here. There's nothing to do. And I'm tired of my parents trying to convince me that everything that I do should be like monetized. I don't care. I just want to do my own thing and tell people if I think it's interesting and make them for them if I want to, but I don't want to monetize everything, you know. Unless I'm like going to the craft show. But if I'm doing things like specifically for people, I've got no idea what they really want. I don't think they really know what they want either, so it's not as fun. Well, okay. It's weird. This one's pretty good. Just not good steel. But it feels good. It's heavy. In a good way. Kind of makes me want to chop something, but you know how that would go. This one is really bad, but this one was a forged sword, not stock removal. I was going to do a little bit on the fuller, but I decided against it. This one's pretty ugly, but it has been done. I have forged a sword. Stock removal is still fun, just not nearly as exciting. Alright, well, I'm gonna go pound some fucking coffee and then I'm gonna cut this out probably. And if I get really bored, then maybe I'll just normalize it for a while.